Yes, sir. Affirmative.
New construction options. Building. Construction complete. New construction options. Building. Construction complete. New construction options. Building. Training. Unit ready. Training. Unit ready. Training.
Reporting.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready. Training. Unit
Yes, sir.
ready.
Very well. At once.
Training.
Reporting.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready. Training.
Ready and
Unit
waiting.
ready.
Agreed. At once.
Training.
Agreed.
Unit ready.
Report. Agreed. Agreed.
Training. Unit ready.
Yes, sir. At once.
Training.
Very well.
Unit
Very
ready.
well. Very well. Very well. Acknowledged. Very well. At once. Affirmative.
Construction
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
complete. New construction options.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building.
Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Very well. Ready and waiting. Agreed.
Training. Unit ready. Training.
Reporting.
Unit ready. Training. Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Training. Unit ready.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Training.
Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Training.
At once.
Unit ready.
At once.
Training.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Agreed.
Training.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Agreed.
ready.
Very well.
Unit ready. Training. Unit ready. Training. Unit ready.
Reporting.
Training.
Affirmative. Reporting.
Unit
Affirmative. At once.
Construction complete. New construction options. Building. Construction complete. Building.
Reporting.
Unit
Reporting.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Training. Unit
Comrade.
ready.
Affirmative.
Training. Unit ready.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Training. Unit
Awaiting orders. Very
ready.
well. At
Training.
once.
Unit ready.
Reporting. Very well. Very well.
Unit ready.
Report.
Building.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Agreed.
Construction complete. Insufficient funds. Building.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Very well.
Training. Unit ready. Training. Unit ready. Training. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Construction
Yes, sir.
complete.
Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
reporting.
Building.
Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Report. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Ready and affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting.
Construction
Comrade,
complete.
sir. Acknowledged.
Our base is under
Affirmative.
attack.
Acknowledged.
Repairing. Unit ready. Building. Building.
Comrade.
Silos needed.
Affirmative.
On hold. Cancel. Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete. Building.
Waiting.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Our base is under attack.
Waiting order.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting.
Unit
Affirmative.
Building.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Report. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Comrade.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Construction complete. Building.
Yes, waiting order. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Base is under attack. Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Reporting. Very well.
Unit lost.
Reporting.
Unit
Yes, sir.
lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Training. Unit ready. Training.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Agreed.
Construction complete. Training. Our base is under attack. Building. Construction
Vehicle
options.
reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Training.
Acknowledged. Waiting Vehicle order. reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building. Unit ready. On hold.
Acknowledged. Agreed.
Cancel. Building. Repairing. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Construction complete.
Acknowledged.
Our base is
Yes,
under
sir.
attack.
Very well.
Repair. Unit ready. Building. Building. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Vehicle acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Training. Construction complete. Unit ready. Training. Building. Unit ready. Training. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Training. Construction
Waiting.
complete.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Unit lost. Training.
Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Waiting orders. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Construction complete. Unit lost. Unit ready. Building. Repair. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Repairing.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Waiting order. Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Our base is
Acknowledged.
under attack. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Cannot deploy here.
Yes, sir.
New construction
At
options.
once.
Unit ready. Building. Building. Unit ready.
Yes, sir. At once.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Prepare.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Construction complete.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Preparing. Unit ready. Building.
Vehicle reporting.
Unit ready.
Yes,
Building.
sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Waiting
Building.
order.
Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Reporting.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Silos needed. Building. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Building.
Comrade. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Reporting.
Building.
Affirmative.
Awaiting orders.
Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. New construction options. Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Comrade. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit lost. Construction complete.
Comrade.
Unit ready. Building. Building.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Comrade. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Vehicle acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Yes,
Prepare.
sir. Acknowledged.
Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Vehicle report. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Awaiting
Yes, sir.
orders.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Construction
Affirmative.
complete.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Awaiting
Unit
orders.
ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building. Unit prepared.
Awaiting
Vehicle
orders.
reporting.
Affirmative. Reporting.
Affirmative.
Unit
Yes,
Vehicle
sir.
ready.
affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Affirmative. Report affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Comrade, affirmative. Waiting order. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
ready.
Comrade, affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Waiting
lost.
order. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Report affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Vehicle report.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Comrade,
Unit
acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Reporting.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Very well.
Unit lost.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Comrade,
Unit
acknowledged. Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Comrade,
Unit ready.
affirmative.
Building. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Yes, sir.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Comrade, acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Reporting.
ready.
Very well.
Building.
Report acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost. Unit
Yes, sir.
ready.
Affirmative. Awaiting for acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Report acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting.
Unit
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building. Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Comrade, acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Reporting.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit
Yes, sir.
lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Waiting for
Reporting.
Unit
acknowledged.
lost.
Reporting.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Yes, acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Report acknowledged.
Unit
Awaiting
ready.
affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Vehicle report acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Report acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
acknowledged. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting. Ready and waiting. Waiting order. Affirmative.
Unit
Waiting
lost.
order. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Reporting.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Waiting order.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Report agreed.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir.
Building.
Reporting.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Base
Report affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Unit lost. Prepare.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit ready. Building.
Yes,
Reporting.
acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Repairing.
Waiting
Unit
order.
ready.
Acknowledged. Waiting
Building.
order. Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Vehicle
Building.
acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Very well.
Unit ready. Building.
Comrade.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Vehicle
Yes, sir.
reporting.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Construction
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Building.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Awaiting affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Unit
Yes, sir.
ready. Building.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Reporting.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Reporting.
Building.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged.
Construction
Affirmative.
complete. Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Yes, sir.
lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Waiting orders.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Waiting orders.
Ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Lost.
Vehicle affirmative. Report
Unit
acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Reporting.
lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Reporting. Affirmative. Comrade.
Lost.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Acknowledged.
Affirmative.
Lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Reporting.
Reporting.
Acknowledged.
Lost.
Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Waiting
Yes, sir.
order.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Unit
sir.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Unit
Reporting.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Affirmative.
Building. Unit lost. Repairing. Unit ready. Building. Building.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit repaired. Repairing. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Waiting order.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
prepared.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Insufficient funds.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Our base is under attack. Building. Construction complete.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Ready and
Unit
waiting.
lost. Unit ready. Building.
Awaiting orders.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Reporting.
Unit
Very
ready.
well.
Building. Unit lost.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Comrade.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Is under
Acknowledged.
Waiting orders. Acknowledged. Waiting
Unit
orders.
ready.
Comrade. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Yes, sir.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Affirmative.
Lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Comrade. Acknowledged.
Yes,
Unit
sir.
lost.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Base is under
Awaiting
attack.
orders. Affirmative.
Unit lost. Prepare. Unit lost.
Acknowledged. At once.
Yes, sir. Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Yes, sir.
Lost.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Prepare. Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Insufficient funds. Building.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Our base is under attack.
Affirmative. Comrade. Acknowledged.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Preparing. Low power. Our base is under attack.
Comrade. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Vehicle report. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Agreed.
Construction
Vehicle
complete.
reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit lost. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Building. Our base is under attack. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building.
Reporting.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Reporting.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Reporting.
Building.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Reporting.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Insufficient
Acknowledged.
funds.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Unit
Reporting
lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting. Very
Unit
well.
ready. Building. Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Repairing. 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 Unit ready. Building.
Reporting.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Construction
Awaiting
complete.
orders.
Waiting
Unit
order.
prepared.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
is under
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Base
Acknowledged.
is under
Affirmative.
attack.
Affirmative.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost. Repairing. Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Very well. Yes, sir. Of course. Affirmative. Reporting.
Unit
Very well,
ready.
sir. Awaiting orders.
Building.
Awaiting orders.
Our base is under attack. Building.
Reporting.
Yes, sir.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit lost. Unit ready. Building. Repairing.
Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged. Waiting order.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Building. Unit ready.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Construction
Waiting
complete.
order.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Cannot deploy here. Building. Unit ready.
Comrade.
Building.
Affirmative. Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Vehicle
Building.
reporting. Affirmative.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Waiting order.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Construction complete.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Construction complete. Repairing. Building. Building. Unit repaired.
Yes, sir. Reporting.
Repair.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
prepared.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Repairing.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Lost.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Reporting.
lost.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Construction
Affirmative.
complete.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Acknowledged.
prepared.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged. Reporting.
Building.
Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Waiting order.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Acknowledged.
Building. Cannot deploy here.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Repairing.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Comrade. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Yes, sir.
prepared.
Acknowledged. Vehicle report. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready. Building.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Our base is under attack. Unit
Yes,
prepared.
sir. Affirmative.
Preparing. Preparing.
Yes,
Unit
sir.
ready. Building.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Unit prepared. Preparing.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit prepared. Preparing. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Repairing.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Awaiting
Acknowledged.
orders.
Ready.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
prepared.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Awaiting
Unit
orders.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Waiting order.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Reporting.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Reporting. Yes, sir.
Unit ready. Building. Unit lost.
Awaiting
Unit
orders.
prepared.
Affirmative.
Repairing. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Comrade. Acknowledged. Yes, comrade. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Awaiting orders.
Unit prepared.
Affirmative.
Preparing.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
prepared.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Building.
Yes, sir.
Reporting.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Insufficient funds.
Awaiting
Comrade.
orders.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Awaiting orders. Acknowledged.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Construction
Acknowledged.
complete.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Base is under attack.
Acknowledged. Yes,
Vehicle
sir.
reporting.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Unit
sir.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Yes,
Vehicle
sir.
reporting.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Vehicle acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Waiting
Unit
orders.
lost.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Vehicle
Comrade.
reporting.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Comrade. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building. Unit ready. Building. On hold. Cancel. Building.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Awaiting
Waiting
orders.
acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Unit
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
lost.
affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Yes,
Building.
sir. Affirmative. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Awaiting
Unit
orders.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Vehicle
Building.
report. Affirmative.
Construction
Acknowledged.
complete.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Waiting order. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Affirmative.
Building. Unit
Yes, sir.
ready.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Awaiting affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Comrade.
Construction complete.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting.
Unit lost.
Comrade.
Unit
Affirmative. Reporting.
Building.
Affirmative. Comrade. Acknowledged. Comrade.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Yes,
Unit
sir.
ready. Building.
Affirmative.
Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Comrade. Acknowledged. Comrade.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Construction
Acknowledged.
complete.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready. Building. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Affirmative.
Construction
Yes, sir.
complete. Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Cannot deploy here. Unit lost. Unit ready.
Waiting order.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready. Building.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Comrade. Affirmative. Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Waiting.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Ready and
Affirmative.
waiting.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. 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 Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Waiting order.
Building.
Acknowledge.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Building.
Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. 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 Acknowledge.
Yes, sir.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Ready.
Acknowledge.
Building. Unit
Acknowledge.
lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledge.
lost.
Acknowledge.
Reporting.
Affirmative.
Lost.
Acknowledge.
Unit
Acknowledge.
ready.
Acknowledge.
Building.
Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Reporting.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Yes, sir.
Affirmative.
Lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Waiting
Acknowledge.
orders.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledge.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Repairing. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Waiting orders.
Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Yes,
Unit
sir.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting.
Waiting
Affirmative.
orders lost.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle report. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
lost.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Reporting.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Awaiting for
Unit
acknowledged.
ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit
Yes, sir.
lost.
Very well. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Lost.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit
Comrade,
lost.
acknowledged. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Reporting.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Vehicle
sir.
report. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Comrade. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Building. Unit ready. Building.
Reporting
ready.
orders.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Construction complete. Unit ready.
Vehicle reporting.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Waiting order. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Comrade.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Awaiting acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative.
Silos needed.
Comrade. Acknowledged. Waiting acknowledged.
Cannot deploy here. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Silos needed.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Comrade. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Waiting
Unit
orders.
lost.
Agreed. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Silos needed.
Waiting order. Acknowledged. Comrade. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
lost.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting.
Silos
Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Building. Silos needed.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost. Silos
Yes, sir.
needed.
Affirmative.
Unit
Yes, sir.
repaired.
Affirmative.
Unit
Yes, sir.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Acknowledged.
Unit
Waiting
lost.
order. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Awaiting
Silos
affirmative.
needed.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Ready and waiting.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Reporting.
lost.
Affirmative.
Silos needed.
Yes,
Prepare.
sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Awaiting for affirmative.
Silos needed.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Reporting. Affirmative.
Silence.
Vehicle report. Acknowledged.
Unit
Yes, sir.
ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Silos
Reporting.
needed.
Affirmative.
Silos needed.
Awaiting for acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Silos needed. Construction complete. Unit repaired. Repairing. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Unit repaired. Construction complete. Our base is under attack. Repairing. Building. Unit ready. Construction complete. Unit repaired. Building. Unit ready. Repairing.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Acknowledged.
prepared.
Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit firepower
Affirmative.
upgraded.
Acknowledged.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Awaiting orders.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Awaiting
Unit ready.
orders. Acknowledged.
Building.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Vehicle reporting.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Vehicle report. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Reporting.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Reporting.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Reporting. Of course.
Unit ready.
Waiting orders. Yes, sir.
Building. Unit lost.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Unit
Vehicle
lost.
reporting.
Affirmative. Needed.
Yes, sir. Very
Unit
well.
lost.
Yes,
Unit
sir.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Waiting orders at once. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Vehicle
lost.
report. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Reporting.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Silence
Acknowledged.
needed.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Awaiting orders.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Silos.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Silos.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Silos.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Silos.
Ready and waiting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Very well.
Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Silos
Yes,
needed.
sir. Affirmative.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Building. Silos needed. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete.
Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. At once. At once.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Vehicle report. Affirmative. Vehicle report. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit lost. Silos needed.
Vehicle report. Affirmative.
Silos needed. Building. Silos needed. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Silos needed. Silos needed. Building. Construction complete. Silos needed. Building. Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Mission accomplished.